What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. It's time to talk about the Raptors, and we have some news to talk to you about this morning. And it was announced by Shams Charania that the Raptors have signed Armoni Brooks to a 2-year contract, not guaranteed. It's partially guaranteed going into next season. Now, this is very interesting because Doug Smith of the Toronto Star did report this a few days ago, but then he got some backlash because he was saying he was joking. He saw a fake Woj report. Now, I don't know if whether that was some news that he had known and perhaps the Raptors had told him to delete that tweet. Again, we don't know. That was a weird situation there, but the Raptors ultimately do sign Armoni Brooks to a 2-year contract. Now, this means that going into the playoffs, they can play him. That was a big question mark where there were questions as to whether we would convert Justin Champagnie two-way contract to a guaranteed contract, which would allow him to play in the playoffs. Now, funny I say that because Justin Champagnie, shout out to him because he just dropped 45 plus points. I believe it was 45 points. He dropped in the G League. So shout out to him for doing that. But obviously, we now have Armoni Brooks for this season and next season as well. Now, personally, I know what people are going to say. He's not someone who can shoot very well. He's obviously shooting about 29% from the three-point line and 30% overall from the field, which aren't great percentages. But we were in need of a shooting guard when you talk about some of the injuries we've had and just in terms of the depth on this roster. We didn't have a lot of depth behind the shooting guard position. We had Malachi Flynn, who was point guard. He didn't get a lot of minutes. And then, of course, we know Fred VanVleet has been dealing with that injury, and now Gary Trent Jr. as well. So it's very important for the Raptors to really lock into that shooting guard position heading into the playoffs. We'll see maybe Armoni Brooks get a few minutes, depending on the health of Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. But let's talk about Armoni Brooks. Now, personally, I like Armoni Brooks. I've seen some of his interviews, and he just seems like a very intelligent player who knows to say the right things. Now, obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean he'll turn out to be a great player on the field, but he's also 23 years old. So the Raptors include another very young player into this roster moving forward. We know we have some really good young talent on this team, including obviously Scotty Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn, and a lot of the other young guys as well. I'm sure I have forgotten, but it's exciting to see because he plays good defense. Now, he's listed at 6'3", 195 pounds, but he plays a lot bigger than his size. Now, I don't want to compare every single shooting guard we signed to Norman Powell, but in some ways he does remind me of Norman Powell in the sense that he is smaller in size, but he plays a lot bigger than his size. Now, when you take a look at out there, you'll see guys like Gary Trent Jr., who's listed at 6'4", but he plays a lot smaller than his size. That is not the case for Armoni Brooks, who just plays a lot bigger. Now, you'll notice he does not lack the confidence either. Every time he's missing or every time he's ready to shoot the ball, he shoots it without hesitation. So I like the confidence. He also knows when to move the ball as well. He's a smart player in terms of he won't continuously just keep shooting his shots if he keeps missing, or even he knows when to take the right shot. I think that's the most important thing with young players is to teach them. Again, Gary Trent Jr., I want to use him as an example. He's obviously on a different level in terms of talent, but sometimes young players will notice they just keep forcing up shots even when they miss. That is not the case with Armoni Brooks. Based off of what I've seen, haven't been able to see too many games, but I like what I'm seeing from him. He'll move the ball. He knows when to take the shots, when to pass it to the main guys. And he also plays some good defense as well. And I do really like his athleticism. I saw this one particular play where he got the offensive rebound and he really got up there for that offensive rebound. So I like what I've seen from him. Some of the things we see in his game. Again, his shooting percentages aren't great, but hopefully going into the offseason, he gets to work with the Raptors coaches, become part of our system, and really just fix his shot moving forward. Again, it could be one of those things he's still incorporating himself into the Raptors offense, but the Raptors have done wonders with guys who apparently could not shoot, obviously Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes. So I don't see why they can't work with Armoni Brooks in the offseason, fixing his shot, making sure he's doing certain things that needs to improve his shots. But heading into the playoffs, Armoni Brooks, I don't see him getting a lot of minutes, if I'm being honest, but he's just one of those players in case of a backup scenario we really need to play a shooting guard, or just give Gary Trent Jr. or Fred VanVleet a few minutes break in the playoffs. So again, we'll be lucky if we see him in the playoffs. I don't see Nick Nurse particularly playing him in the playoffs. That's a big question personally, and understandably so. If he continues to shoot poorly from the three-point line, I don't see him getting a lot of minutes. I think I see him getting a role similar to what we saw with Matt Thomas a few years ago. Just give him 3-4 minutes playing time and just provide a little bit of a rest for Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. Now, obviously, a lot of people will say, well, we don't have a point guard, and I don't think we need one behind, I should say Fred VanVleet, because we have Scotty Barnes. We also have Pascal Siakam who can play the point guard position as well. So we'll see what happens with the roster moving forward. But for this season, it seems like we're locked, and Armoni Brooks has secured that last spot we had open on the Raptors roster. And also do want to say, guys, I did forget to announce there was no shout out for today's video. No one got the trivia question correctly. And I'm quickly doing this before I run for work. So I just wanted to drop this quick video for you guys. So there will be no trivia question for today, but you can always just let me know, whoever wants a shout out, in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on the signing of Armoni Brooks. Do you like the signing? Would you have liked the Raptors to sign someone else or a different position? Let me know as well. So that will be it for today's video, guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.